Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here, and I hope you're having a beautiful day, because it's pretty beautiful out here. And before I start this video, I just want to get one thing really clear, because it kind of popped up, and I totally don't want it to blow out of proportion for no reason. There's another YouTuber who also decided to make a series where he would interact with his fans and, have a deck. And basically, basically the exact idea of this series. And I just want to say, I'm not accusing anyone of stealing any idea, just to make that clear if you're aware of the situation. Like, ideas are meant to be spread, ideas are meant to be shared. That's what humanity does. I have no hard feelings. So, I just want to make that clear. I don't want drama where there just shouldn't be any. I'm a pretty loving person. I'm just saying, okay. So I just wanted to get that off the bat because I don't like being this serious about anything. So yeah, let's get started, guys. Okay, so we have my man's Wolf Frostblade. He's a level 110 ice, okay, and he decided to send me his stuff. Okay, so let's start with his stats. So my man's is rocking that 82 ice damage, and looks like he has good set resist to a variety of schools, including the main ones, which is great. His accuracy is perfect, so that 24 accuracy is really good. So overall, and his health is fine. So overall, we're looking at very good stats. Now, when we're moving on to his secondary statistics, looks like he has, crit doesn't really matter, but he does have 352 crit, so that's fine. And he has really high block, so this is really good, because I don't think he really needs to have a conviction up to reliably block. So when we're looking at his deck, we can see if there's like a lack of conviction and more stun blocks, And it looks like his Pierce is on point. The only thing I see about this stat setup that might be a little below par would be the pip chance. But then again, I think that's a very minor point. And I feel like if he has spells specifically meant for using those new pips, it's not a bad idea whatsoever. So my man, you're looking good, okay? I'm just saying, you're looking fine, my mans. Okay, so let's move on to his main deck so we can start rating his deck. Rating his deck. I feel like I need a different name. That could be so misconstrued. Like I said on Twitter, send a picture of your decks, and I didn't get any pictures, but I got some questionable messages talking about. So anyways, let's move on. Okay, let's just move on. So looks like my man's is totally rocking an awesome deck setup. If you guys can actually see here. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay. So, it looks like we're looking at a lot of bubbles. Again, I need to know like exactly what the bubbles are, but of course I think they're Balefrost. He has one stun, and if you notice, I was right about the lack of conviction. Nothing wrong there, completely. This is a really nice setup actually. And one thing that I really like are the reshuffles, the minions, the abundant dispels, and that's because it's a control deck. So what's a control deck? It's really actually what used to exist before shadow spells came out. If you notice, he has very few hits in main, and if you were in ice before shadow spells came out, like I actually used something very similar to this, it was an extremely powerful strategy. Everyone thought that balance was the best in game. That is just, it's at that time, ice was definitely better. Like, this is coming from a dude who basically spammed balance PvP. This is, my man, this is epic, bruh. Okay, I can't, he has that shift Greenoak, which is really cool. And if you notice, he doesn't have many enchants, so his main deck is very utility based. Look, he has Shrikes, he has a lot of shields, set shields, snowdrifts. I really like the minions. I would love to see this dude PvP. Like, honestly, maybe an extension of this is like rate my PvP, where I make these guys PvP for me and for our shared. No, that's like slavery or so. I don't know. I'm not gonna make anyone do anything that they don't want to do, because consent is really important even online. But he's looking fresh. I mean, his stun blocks are great. You could cloak those, So let's move on to his TCs, okay? So yeah, as expected, he definitely has a lot of stuff going on in terms of attacks. One thing that surprises me, actually, is that he doesn't have many attacks in total. like if you think about his main deck, it had like a Snow Serpent, that Greenoak, some Winter Moons, and some Abominable Weavers. And he doesn't spam his side deck with hits either. I mean, they obviously it's mostly hits, but he has a lot of strategy going on here. Looks like he enchants his stuns with like his freezes with accuracy, and he puts cloaks on his stun blocks. So this guy is extremely organized. So actually, one thing that I was really looking for from the last series was feedback on exactly how I would rate decks, because like last time I was like, out of 10 Merlambros, I said something stupid like out of 10 Merlambroses, you know, like I gave him a 9.7 or something. So I'm gonna actually say the name of the commenter, Benjamin Babalola. I love you. Yo, can I have your name, please? Thank you. Benjamin Babalola. Oh, that Babalola. That should be a drink. I would drink Babalola all the time. So my man said this was great, even though I didn't make the first ep. JK. So he sent me something, and I was like, I totally ignored it. I'm sorry. Okay, but maybe when you rate them into like maybe 3 different categories. So he thought creativity, viability, and performance. Now, these are big words, okay? But I'm gonna try anyways. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 for creativity, I give this guy a 10 easily, okay? This is a very adaptable deck. It looks like you won't really have deck fails that easily. That's the whole point of a control deck. This is really good for deck building, and I really want to see more Ices do this, because I think it works more efficiently from second. I really do. And I really think that back then, when Ices always had life masteries, I really wish that there was a strategy where you could heal and maintain high resist and decent damage and just give up crit, you know, just completely. Just have high block too. Just defensive stats, high damage, pierce, and healing. It's hard to do, but like, anyways, that's kind of besides the point. I think as far as creativity goes, this is a perfect 10. I think viability, it seems that it might be not as good for fast-paced games. That's my only concern. Then again, he has really high resist to the main schools at PvP. I would love to see him go against a life, because that would, like, you know, like someone like using a Guardian strat or something like that. Because that would be the kind of matchup that would take a long time, and it actually might be easier for him to take those guys on. It might not fare as well against people who are very offensive, because he doesn't have a healing ability. So when you're basically trying to tank that much, you need to still act fast. So I'm not sure how viable it is. So for viability, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Then again, I do not know this guy's rank, and I actually made sure specifically not to include his rank, because I don't want to judge him based on his rank. This is my opinion, and I could be totally wrong, because I'm not like super into PvP. So that's creativity and viability, and performance. So performance, you know, like I feel like performance, based on what his comment told me, I might be misunderstanding, but what is the deck strong against, and what is the deck weak against? So if we're like really looking at his deck, it looks like I kind of dipped into this, but if you're trying to perform against very defensive classes, this strategy will help you a lot. So if you're going against healing schools like life or balance or even death, it looks like this might actually make up for Ice's inability to heal as well. That's mainly though because of the set resist. So if you're the resists that he doesn't have include storm, myth, life, and death. So death and I've seen death and life go up pretty high ranks. I would really like to see my man's Wolf Frostblade go up against those, because those might be a really good matchup against this kind of setup. I would be concerned about the more offensive classes, including fire and balance, but it looks like he makes up for it. So I do think it would be weaker against, you know, high damage and pierce builds, because those could chip away your health really quickly. Like, for example, what I do on my balance against most Ices is basically just, it's kind of like, it used to be called the crown strategy. It's actually it's kind of based off of a strategy that was used a long time ago. Around level 50 PvP, I did do a little bit of it. I mean, your boy's just a little bit. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm not a pro, but you know, I did a little bit of it. So from what basically the crown strategy, it's just you flood them with weaknesses and try to stack as many as possible of the same, and like double stack regular, double stack TCs. That's basically how I take down most ice wizards. Now this is basically based on the fact that you know, that I can just, they can't heal. So I feel like the number one way, and I know this is like really hard, the number one way to make this like extremely well performing is with a heal, because we live in a really fast-paced meta, and I feel like this was something that I would have seen before shadow spells came out. Maybe Shrike was around, but just before the shadow enhanced spells. Then again, I don't know how this performs either. Like, I feel like it's very successful because there's definitely a lot of thought put behind it. So as far as, like, you know, beating a Jade, I definitely think it's very viable against a Jade. Again, when you're second to a Jade, I don't think anyone really has a viable chance of winning. So as far as that type of performance, you're not gonna see any real thing that does well second to a Juju. But as far as the overall thing, this is like, it's a very good deck, and I'm making my judgment based on the combination of stats and just realizing that the meta is very fast paced. Then again, Ice has a lot, you know, like, I struggle to PvP on my Ice because though they have a lot of power behind their hits, you need to be able to make moves and you need to time extremely well, because if you make a mistake and waste your pips, you can't heal the damage back. You can't. That's a big thing about Ice, and the one school that should never get a heal is Ice, which is why I have a serious problem with Snowdrift, but maybe that's another video for another day. But yo, Wolf, man, it's a good deck, man. It's a nice deck. I like it. So when he told me, he said it's a control tank setup, I believe, a great 1v1 deck setup. It looks like he can do a lot. It looks like he can do a lot. I would, you know, one thing that I would really like to see is what are the stats he's missing by having the set resist. That's 74 74 fire resist, 74 balance resist. Looks like he also has 69 ice resist, so it looks, I think his pet might have fire ward, balance ward, and ice proof. So along with that, I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm assuming you also have spell proof, which means you have double damage. So I'm not even sure how you're getting the extra block. So I'm left with a lot of questions on actually your geared setup. This is like, it seems really hard to do it, but I'd be curious to see it. But overall, man, this is such a legit deck, So, hope you guys are enjoying the series. I'm glad I could actually talk so much more, thanks to your feedback. A lot of people were like, make it a little bit more formal, you know, like, I want to know the level, I want to know the stats, which is, you know, like, I'm glad this guy sent the stat, but, you know, and yeah, maybe even as an addition, I could see someone PvPing and explain what they're doing. But overall, man, yo, that was legit sauce. That was legit sauce. So it looks like I gave him like a high 20 something out of 30, which is like, oh, I never actually rated the performance. I just talked about it. So performance, I'd give it an 8, I think. So looks like we're looking at like a 25 out of 30 or a 24 out of 30, which honestly though, like, it's based on or actually a 26 out of 30. I think that's what I gave it. It's based on what I think of the meta, and it might not even be a right conclusion, but I want you guys to discuss, and I hope Wolf Frostblade, you get involved in the conversation. I'm sure you're really high ranked. Looks like you're super good at building decks. Like, this is the kind of deck building that we really need, though. Like, I feel like this guy, just based on his deck building abilities, I'm sure he's an amazing PvPer that we can all learn a lot from. So, with that being said, thank you, Wolf Frostblade. Thank you for watching the video. Stay awesome, leave a like, and sub. Yeah!